In the wake of the Supreme Court's decision in Louisiana versus Calais, which essentially gutted the Voting Rights Act, several Republican-controlled southern states didn't waste any time in calling for special sessions to erase districts and redraw maps. One of those states is Tennessee, where Republicans are trying to eliminate the state's only majority Black congressional district only months before the 2026 midterms. Gloria Johnson is a Democratic state representative who has been a powerful voice in the state, speaking out against what she calls a white power grab. Representative Johnson, we really appreciate you taking the time to tell us what's going on in Tennessee.
Absolutely. I appreciate you all talking about it because this is just Jim Crow with a Sharpie. That's what this is. It's not only about a congressional seat. They're robbing working families of Tennessee of their basic democratic rights and their ability to meaningfully participate in the decisions that govern their lives.
Absolutely. Well, I know last week you had a special session and the NAACP has already gone to court filing an emergency petition to block the map that passed. Can you catch us up on where things stand today?
Well, we're waiting today to hear, waiting on injunctive relief, just to see what happens. I think there are multiple suits, though, because I think some congressional candidates have lawsuits as well. And so we're kind of in a holding pattern because the crazy thing about this is, there were already folks running for Congress. Their campaigns were up. They'd already been spending money. And all of a sudden, they changed the lines in the middle of an election. And I don't think everybody understands that we already had people running in what they thought was their district. And so this has all been upended. Really what they had was the ability, they had a couple of days where they had time, they had, they're going to have to reprint ballots. They're going to have to reprogram machines. They're going to have to open the filing deadline so people can file now in these new districts. It is outrageous, unprecedented, and that's what it was. It was a power grab by an authoritarian government that wants to control everything that happens and wants to maintain their power.
So, Representative, we were watching from the outside. Many people are watching across the country what was happening at the Tennessee State House. You were there. You were in the room. Can you talk to us about what it was like during the special session?
It was, I liken it to be, I said to someone, I felt like I was in a Klan meeting for 3 days. And that really is what it felt like. Some people, well, how do you know what a Klan meeting feels like? Well, guess what? I read books. We know a lot about what those things look like. And as a matter of fact, when I was a young child in Mississippi, we had the KKK blew up a Jewish synagogue a mile from my house. My father was in the FBI. He and his partner went and arrested the 3 main perpetrators of that bombing. And then the Klan threatened to kill my family. And so we had to move out of our home for a few weeks while they rounded up the rest of the folks. So trust me, I know a little bit about the Klan, how they operate, about white supremacists. And that's what I was seeing on that House floor. And one of the interesting things about it is they have no shame. Used to be people were a little embarrassed, and the Klan wore caps and they wore their hoods and their sheets. These folks aren't interested in hiding because we have a president at the top in this authoritarian movement who is a proud racist and doesn't feel that they should hide it.
I know, Representative, you had a very memorable floor speech, and we have part of that. So let's go ahead and play that now.
We do not have to be here. We're costing our counties a fortune. We are making a mockery of this body and of this state. We are the shame of the nation and the shame of this state. We are here to take away the voices of black voters and the people of Memphis to crack their districts and dilute their voices. You should be ashamed, but guess what? I know that you're not. This is not a special session. This is a white power rally and a white power grab. That is what this is. And you can deny it all you want, but the people in this state know better. They don't want partisan gerrymandering. They don't want gerrymandering by race. They don't want any of it. We have the ability to have independent redistricting.
So one thing that struck me was how prepared it seemed that Republicans in Tennessee and Alabama and other states were for this ruling from the Supreme Court. They seem to have the maps ready to go. You're on the inside. Talk to us about what you're seeing and what you're hearing from your colleagues.
Yeah, I certainly feel like they had those maps for a while, but the funny thing was we didn't get them till an hour or two before the first vote. You know, they kept that close and kept those for themselves. And so that's one of the things that's so frustrating. Normally when we redistrict between reapportionments, you know, between the census, there's a public comment time. There is time in the last redistricting, people and community groups were able to submit their own maps of what they thought it should look like. And one thing that a lot of people don't understand that was really the most diabolical thing that happened was that Tennessee, for more than 50 years, has a law in place that says we cannot redraw the lines between census apportionments. We had to repeal that law. That was the first bill we passed, was the bill to repeal that law so that we could do this lawless gerrymander. And just a couple of years ago, the courts had deemed that district as legal because it was drawn as that was enough people. It was drawn by population in a like community. It was one county that had the population to be a Senate district. That's a natural way to draw lines and boundaries.